Hey Megan, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. It's Thursday. I'm Saramy. I always forget to tell you that. Welcome. And I'm pretty happy with how this Myosotis is coming along. Oops. Let's see. Except I forgot to put the label in. Hey Barbara. Morning. Still morning where you are? I can't remember where you live, Barbara. It's only 11 here, so. But yeah, it's turning out pretty good. Put my other Ruffle on after the stream yesterday. So the serging is mediocre. Good thing no one's gonna see that, right? How are you all? What are you guys working on today? California. Oh, you are, Barbara? I didn't know that. Woot woot. We'll have to do a meetup. I know California is huge and unsafe lately, so we'll have to work around that part, eh? $40 with PDF pattern. I know why. If it's not pre-cut, well, even if it is, it's the yardage. The yardage with a pattern, like say the pattern's $18 or $14. That only leaves, $22, $24 for fabric. And, all the findings and everything, and the time it takes to pull a kit, I am here to tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of pieces and making sure it's correct. That seems pretty good. I mean, because then you can then make as many as you like with your pattern. Does the kit include enough fabric to make more than one or just one? You're about 250 miles away. Oh. That could be either direction for me because I'm in the middle. Hey, Penny. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Let's see. I stacked all my pieces yesterday, so let's see how I did here. Now I'm getting a tickle. Yeah, exactly. My bras cost a minimum of that. The ones that last and fit good. Okay, so we have the front with the pocket. We're doing this little cutaway bias binding. That's the front and the back, and then these are the ruffles. All right. Fabric and PDF. Oh, and your Fresno. Is that really 250? Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, and that drive, it's the 5, right? That's gotta be one of the least sexiest drives in California. But I find, I don't know, I've lived in California just about my whole life. I went to Colorado a couple times, but I'm in love with all of the California landscape no matter what. Like sometimes I just love, like people picture it only as like coastal ranges and lush landscape, but that's not California. That's a very, 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 very small part of California, So I actually, because I've grown up in most of the drier areas, because most of California is dry, I really appreciate just the starkness of some of it. Yeah, exactly. Hello, Louise. You're going to make a hedgehog mask? That's cute. Where would you find bra fabric? I follow an Instagram account that Christy turned me on to called Bra Makers Supply. And then there's a few other bra makers that I follow. And so like Primrose, right? And they mention places like that. Places that sell bra making stuff. But yeah, you're right. I know I need to get on like what we're going to do today. I'm hoping, I have to make a few masks, but I'm at the binding stage. I'm looking at my pile over there. I am going to come up with a schedule because I need a schedule, and you guys are like open to whatever. And so I think for me, I need a schedule. We do really good with one, and I can put out it a month and ahead of time, you know. So I'm going to try and do July and into August so that we can plan that. So the West Side Hills, yeah. You got a bunch of lace. Cool. Yeah. You got my mass fabric. Going to try one of the perfect fit. Oh, I don't know that one. I really like the one Maria makes that a needle runs through it. You sometimes see her here. It has a little dart here and here, so it's not a seam. And then it's bound into ties. And I think it's probably a pattern she could get to go with her laser cutter, because it cuts it for her, which is really awesome. Why am I getting a tickle? I didn't drink enough fabric. No one's ever drank enough fabric or water. All right, let's get to it. I'm gonna prep my pockets. I'm like holding onto this label because I'm like, I want to forget it. Megan's here, so I won't forget it today. So let's just pin it to the back. That's what I like to do, really. I just like to pin it where it's about to go, and that's what I should have done yesterday. Pin it to the back neck, you know. Then I don't forget. All right, so this upper skirt when you're doing the ruffled version. Oh, and just for anyone new here, this is what I'm making. I'm making the Myosotis dress by Deer and Doe Patterns, and I'm doing this ruffled version. I made the non-ruffled version off camera because it was in gingham, and it turned out great. So this ruffled version, it is kind of hard to tell what would be the top of your skirt and the bottom of your skirt. If you're not doing a cutaway pocket, it really doesn't matter because you have your notches for your pocket. So just don't get turned around with thinking, you know, that's the top down here. It's not much bigger, but the pocket's going to be closer to the top. So I'm going to bind these openings. I wanted to do as little fabric for my pockets as possible. So I chose a binding finish for the upper piece. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you too. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, you can make that mask with your serger? That's cool. This is the, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. So I only cut my binding 1 inch wide. I forgot to do that with you guys. I'm already sewing it wrong. Right sides together because I want it to go on the inside. And I only put a 1/4 inch seam allowance for me. Look how stretchy this is. What was that noise? On what you were, what? The pattern I had for the mask? And I'm gonna do the other one too. Because I want the binding to be only on the inside. That's why I made it only 1 inch wide. And that's why I'm starting on the right side, which I rarely do, right? I'm usually sewing my binding from the wrong side going to the right side. I'm so excited. Almost all the kits are gone. I'm gonna have my table back again. And eventually, I know all the lining kits and outer fabric won't sell. I'm just gonna turn those into masks and stuff. I'm gonna understitch this. I probably should have clipped that curve actually. It's so stretchy that I'm kind of being tricked into thinking I don't need to clip it, but I think I should have clipped it, and I don't know if it's too late. I'm gonna clip it a little bit anyway. Clipping after understitching is not the greatest idea, so we'll just do our best. It might help a little bit. I'm gonna be careful, man. Just do it a few places, it'll help. It's so stretchy. I was really trying to keep the integrity of the size of this curve because it's so stretchy. You know, yesterday with your dress was a top. What? Yesterday I was wearing a dress. I'm wearing a dress now. Oh. Wait. Oh, the pattern I had out sitting there. Yeah, I could see that. I moved it to the other table. You won't see it today. Yeah, I was not making that. That's funny. Yeah, because you got here a little bit after we started. So, yeah, I could see that. You're like, that doesn't look like that at all. What'd she do? What kind of modifications? All right, so this one I'm going to clip this curve. We can do a nice little comparison and see what we think. Let's clip this curve. Now I'm going to understitch it. So are you guys thinking about like sew along for the bra? What are you guys thinking? Bra or underwear or both? And do you guys have a preference? It seems like you guys are doing a little bit more research than I have. What I love about this kind of binding when you're just doing it to the inside and it's only 1 inch wide is you can just wrap it around the seam allowance like that. And it's so easy. Like I could iron this right now, but I really don't need to. It really wants to behave, but I don't want my this curved opening to get stretched out because I was really careful when I attached this that I wasn't pulling because the bias is so stretchy and this curve is so stretchy. It'd be really easy to get this pocket kind of bigger than it needs to be. And you kind of want, even though it's an exposed pocket and everyone can see it, you don't really need it to like poke out of the dress, right? So you're happy to do either. At first I thought you said I'm happy to do neither. I was like, gotcha. Both. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, cool, Megan. Some gal emailed me, I think yesterday. I had accidentally sent her a piece of fabric, extra piece of fabric in her kit, and she just was like, "Oh, you sent me this," and I was like, "Oh, it's fine," and just because the fabric it ended up being was fine, she said like she sewed her first one. She was already reordering some more kits, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, my binding was so wobbly." And then she made another one, and so I finally found her on Instagram because I had the wrong account at first, and oh my gosh, it turned out so cute. She did a sloth one and a market one. I'm gonna repost them because it's great to see people actually using the kit because I don't want people to be nervous about, you know, I was being transparent saying they're a little wonky, you know, and they've been kicking around here, but they've been protected. I've always been really good about protecting all of our stuff when it's cut. We keep it in a bin or a box and we label it. And so, so can we tell which one was which? Let's see. But hers turned out really cute. So you're trying to get this to lay as flat as possible. I have a feeling this is the one I didn't clip. You know? This is the top. This one actually might be the one I didn't clip. Can I feel it? Yeah, actually I think it's this one I didn't clip. That was you, Vicky! Yes! Your bags turned out really good. I'm not joking. Like, I'm really impressed. You know? Hi, Claire! A swimsuit? Ooh, I don't know if I'll do a swimsuit, Claire. Only because I don't need a swimsuit. I owned a pool for the last 5 years, and I got into it like 3 times. Maybe if we got a sponsored stream or something, I would give it a try. I saw that, Vicky. I saw that right before I went live. That was so clever, so smart to use that piece for a Notions case. Now you have a matching Notions case, yeah. I thought your binding looked amazing. Like, I saw all the testers come through, and I saw what they, the things they were addressing, and the issues, and the struggles, and the successes, and the triumphs, and all that. And so I know that bag. I know where the problem areas are for anyone sewing it, including myself, or, you know, like Rayanne. just never really liked sewing those. So she would only go up to that last step, that last pivotal step. And so I did the last step for years. Like, not for years, but I did the whole bag for years. And then at the end, I only did that last step. And I know that bag. It's a knack. And it took me a long time to get good at it. Even though I was selling it, I still was like, this could be better, you know? And I eventually just got to the point where I was like, this is okay, you know? Like, this is handmade, you know? And I would accept it if I bought it. So, yeah, the notions casings are so fun. Yeah, those are really fun. Yeah, I'm really glad you had that pattern. That was a really good idea. I can't believe I didn't even think to suggest it. I think I'm going to serge my pockets so I can just top stitch them onto the back of the skirt. But you could clean finish this if you don't have a serger. What I would do is I would stitch just inside your seam allowance line, like on the seam allowance side, and then pull the thread just a little bit. I'll give you a little demonstration. That is actually not my seam allowance. My seam allowance, I don't actually really have one for this part. So we'll just pretend like it's a quarter. When I'm doing these stitches where I'm not really gathering up, I'm just trying to draw it in and kind of for ease. I don't actually change my stitch length most of the time. But yeah, so I would just put it in there and then pull your threads a little bit and just create some tension there. Like this. Pull it from both ends, otherwise you're going to pull your thread straight through. Hands up if you've done that. And then you can just, that's a little too much. Then you can just iron this down, like fold it in right on that edge. And then top stitch it down to the dress. You don't really need a serger. But if you do this little stitch first, it makes it a lot easier because it wants to do it. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm going to use my serger though, just because we have a lot to sew today. So, all right, so let's see here. Camera is at a weird angle. I think I have got an idea now of how to make it so that's a little easier to see my serger. I'm just going to serge this perimeter edge here. I may need to adjust my stitch. Oh, I still have it on the differential. Whew, good thing I took that off. It's okay, it's a little tight. Let's see what happens if I loosen it. I don't like threads hanging off the end. Yeah, that makes threads hang off the end. So when you're doing these curves like this, I usually try and find a pivot point, like right here. You kind of start figuring that out the more you handle fabric. It's the same on the regular machine. But right here is the point where if I pull like this, I can keep it on the curve. Like that, I'm exaggerating. But it's so tight right here when I'm holding it. And it's because if I'm pressing down, it kind of makes this pivot point. And so then the fabric wants to pull this way. You can sit here and do this too, you know, like feed it in there, but I find this to be more accurate. And I think we do it unconsciously a lot. See, this is my stitch difference, so I tightened it. See that? I don't know. And when I loosened it, it was like that. I don't have tension dials. This is one of my things I hate about this machine. I'm gonna make it wider. So the other thing you gotta be worried about is you don't want to stretch this edge out. So pulling it here isn't stretching that fabric. If it gets a little off, just make sure before it gets under the needle, you lift up your presser foot and put it back under there. That's my little, my serger lesson. What do you think? That looks pretty good. Look at that. I mean, I don't have any, like, noticeable tightness or ruffling. Because you will get a little bit on these big curves like that, you know. These big curves can be really troublesome for stuff like that. But you can use it to your advantage, you know. Like, if you have, like, a t-shirt that you're just finding to be, it just needs to be softer somehow, like in styling. What I like to do sometimes is use the serger to create a ruffled edge. And if you cut across the fabric, like cut the hem off and use your serger and pull the fabric, really pull it a lot as it's going through the serger. Don't pull it when it's in with the needles, just pull it and maintain that tension. It'll ruffle the edge. So, you know, you could do that on kids' things especially. All right, so here we go. I think I'm gonna iron this all, and now I just need to top stitch this down. You can see, look at my opening. It did get a little bigger because remember I had about 1 inch above and below. So this will be good. I'm gonna iron this. How do I do this? Oh my gosh. There we go. There it is. There it is. So disorienting when it's upside down and kind of far away. Okay. This was my first one right here. Okay. See if I can get that to lay down a little better. Hey Sydney, how's it going? We just started working on these pockets. I still cut it kind of close, didn't I? Kind of hard to pin things on the wool mat because it'll just stick, you know, to the wool. Where's my pins? Oh, that's right. Man, I forgot to dig my pin cushion out from the ground. And so by doing just the single layer of fabric, I'll still ensure the most drape as possible, because if the pocket's just hanging freely in there, you still kind of maintain all the drape of your skirt. But once I stitch it down, the pocket to the garment, it definitely adds a little bit of bulk, right? And so that's why I went with a single layer. But here's my pocket. So cute. I love these kinds of pockets. I think I'll stitch it from the right side too. I like doing that. Okay, the paper clip in my pin thing isn't very helpful. I can't believe I'm reaching over the iron right now because that burn on the inside of my arm is still like not good looking. Like, it's not hurting or anything like that. I just mean, like, it's, you know, it's going to be there a long time. And it took a long time for it to heal. I really should be pinning like this. Perpendicular. But I'll probably take these out as I go, so it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure they're, if I don't want to think about what direction it's going in under the machine, if I do perpendicular as well, I don't have to worry about the pin being in the wrong spot as I get to it. You know, like, this is the worst, is when your machine's coming this way and it's pushing your head of your pin like that. I'm notoriously used to always pin along the seam like this. And or, you know, and sometimes I do it wrong, so it would be like this, you know. So pinning across seam is always better. Even if you don't take out the pins, then you can go right over them. I know a lot of people get nervous about that, but it's not Friday. It's not Friday yet. I'm sorry. Almost. It's only my Wednesday. I know it's Thursday for a lot of you. Hi, Patty. How are you? Oh, my pin cushion's on the ground, so I'm going to use my cup. All right. We don't need to immortalize black threads on our white dress. Oh, I want to do this from the top. I like doing this from the top. I feel like I got into this habit a lot because I had a couple of machines along the way where the bobbin stitching was meh, you know? And that would fix that. You know, I could just sew from the top. And you can feel the ridge of the stitching, or the fabric. I can see it on this one. But because I serged it, it is a little bit thicker. So it's pretty easy. I like this style pocket. And always check it. Make sure there's no holes. Looks good. Nice and flat. And easier to find. I almost just started stitching it closed. Oh man. You guys probably wouldn't even be surprised if I did that. See, look at that one's the wrong way. I feel like when I was younger, I made more of an, not effort, but things like that would just pop into my head that I knew, oh, that's the direction. Now I'm just like, it'll be fine. You know, I just don't want to burden myself with the stress of trying to remember every little detail of what I need to do, you know. I save that for things that are more important. Things that involve other people so that I'm doing my best possible work for that. All right. That looks pretty good. I imagine I'll have to iron my pocket opening. That's pretty easy to do. So here we go. Now we can just continue on with our skirt. So I bet the instructions might tell you to attach your ruffle to the front and then your ruffle to the back and then do your side seam. I think that's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, however you want to do it. It is certainly easier to do that because you only have to gather a ruffle to one piece rather than doing the ruffle all the way around. I think looks-wise, it looks better to do it that way. So, you know, sew your top to your back skirt, so you have your upper skirt, and then sew your front to your back ruffle, and then attach the ruffle to the skirt in the round, right? because that round seam is going to match the one at the waist that we're going to do when we attach the whole skirt to the waist. So that is my 2 cents about that. You know, lazy me would just like to attach the ruffle to the skirt right now and do it separately, and we can just see what it looks like. Or but you know, continuity me wants to do it where the skirt's in one, the ruffles in one to the skirt as one. So it's probably the way I'll go. All right, so let's put our, but like I said, if you're like kind of like, man, gathers are kind of a pain in the butt and they're just not my favorite thing, I hear you on that. Like that is like kind of my feeling too. I actually think I'm going to do my label at the end, because gathering through the label is not really easy to do. It just doesn't happen. I say go with just attaching your ruffle to the front and the back separately. It's easier to manage. You might even get a nicer looking ruffle because you can really manage your space better, you know? So that's just my feeling about it. All right, so I'm gonna make sure, yeah, my center is notched there. And I'm going to, I think I'm actually going to French seam the sides. It's probably kind of surprising. I'm going to serge the waist, but I'm going to French seam the sides because I'm going to do that on the ruffle as well, so that if you see the underside of the ruffle, it's nice and clean. French seams are so much prettier than serging, you know? And these are pretty short, so it's totally manageable. Oh, here's a good check to see how I did on my pocket opening, to see it's not bad. I mean, that could have been a cutting mistake, or I pulled my pocket up a little bit. I'm gonna wait to cut those threads till right before I sew it, because this stuff is thread deep. I'm gonna start from the top again so that if it's off at the bottom, it's the same, you know, consistency. Oh, Patty, that's awesome. Yeah, you got a big one. You got your stiffener, is that what that is? That's awesome. You're set. And I bet the post person's like, ooh, I'm glad to have this out of my truck. So maybe that was my cutting, because look, it's about the same. Well, my back stitch kind of drew it up, but my it's off about the same on each side. Okay. All right, so we're gonna trim these threads, and then I'm going to iron it. Thread deep. All right. So what do you think of that stiffener, Patty? Do you like it? Like, how do you like the stiffness of it? Because it's stiffer than what you get at like Joann's. That's one thing I forget about, and I probably don't say it enough to people, because I know people who have sewn the project bag and they were like, oof, you know. I worry when I'm like, okay, this is the stiffener we use. Our stiffener was stiffer. And so if you were kind of kind of on the fence about how it felt to sew that thing, I don't know if it feels worse or better, you know? I don't know anymore. If it's been Hey Jan. That's not oh really, Penny? Well, I made the cutaway style. You know, Penny or Kelly, I'm actually really bad about doing that. But a lot of folks take that tail and thread it through like a tapestry needle, and then and then thread it through the serging to make it look nicer. And that is something that I am not very good at doing, and I should be, because it bugs me as well. And last time I was like, I'm going to try this, and I only had a crochet hook, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do this because crochet hook's not big or small enough. So I think there's a lot of really good methods out there. So, an industrial serger, that doesn't happen. The threads, when they come off the garment, they instantly are sucked in. I mean, you've probably seen it on your own shirts. If you're looking at knit, though, sometimes they use puff threads, and puff threads are really weird. They're like floss. They're not even like floss. They're like fairy fiber. Yeah, right, Jan, exactly. So I could be better about it. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do my other ones too. Oops, here we go. I'm going to do my side seams and my ruffle right now, too. So we can just do the serger all at once. This is a lot of gathering. Yeah, I think, it's doesn't take much, and the effect is really nice. So, why don't we do it, Really, it's just out of habit. I've had sergers do better than other sergers. I used to always just pull that little thread and it was fine. I don't find it that fine anymore. Like with this serger just behaves differently, The other thing I do most often when I'm thinking about is when the tail comes off, I sometimes pull it back onto the garment really tight and stitch it down and then trim off the rest of the tail. Yeah, exactly, Patty. Yeah, exactly. It's more dense and smooth. And I think that even though it's stiffer, it's thinner. That is wrong size. Yeah. Having a little trouble with deciding what the front and low back is. Yeah, I think the easiest way to do it, and I forget to do it, is what I just said. Leave a tail and then stitch it down in the seam allowance of the garment. What I like about that also is that it will sometimes kind of tighten up that little edge, when you kind of pull it in. And I don't like pull the threads and tighten them. I just fold it back on itself, I should do that more too, because I actually like that and I just forget. I'm very production oriented sometimes, and I don't stop and think about those, Yeah, and it's easy to do, even in knits, especially in knits. Someday I'm going to cut straight. I almost had a fear that I had twisted that all the way around. That's something I would do. Oh man. Yeah, I can show that to you, Barbara. I'm going to do the waist. It's like nicer on side seams and seams where you're going off the edge, like this kind of a seam. Seams where you're doing it in the round. It's a little more it's not as it's not as nifty, but it still works really good, and it just feels good to do it. It feels like you're taking charge of it. You know what I mean? Like you're like, I'm the boss of you. And I like that. I like anytime I feel that way about sewing. I feel really good about what I just did. I don't have any doubts. Kind of dovetails into my ensure success and you are the boss of that project philosophies, which I like to say it all anytime I can. And you might not have a tapestry needle handy, or you left it somewhere and you're like, I was already kind of too lazy to do this. Now I'm too lazy to go get it, But you have your machine in front of you. This is so satisfying. Looks a little stretched out, doesn't it? Seam might have stretched this out. I got this little whoop-de-doo right here. Have to keep an eye on that. Kind of want to iron the front of this so that when it's all gathered, I don't have to. Where are these coming from? Better to do it from the back so you can make sure you don't get any like little lips of the fold there. That one worked out okay. I just wanted to make sure that I get this pocket all in there. Ooh, so dangerous doing that. Pulling those threads in the side seam, you know. I've definitely had that backfire where it ends up pulling like a thread across, you know. But I could feel it down here and it was still in the seam allowance. What's going on here? Why is it resisting? We need to trim it down a little bit. So did you guys get a lot of style arc patterns yesterday? Those of you shopping the sale you found? I'm trying to think what I bought recently. Oh, I bought it's like I have no time to do it, but Sarah Watts has been offering up her skills in like really great, like easy to do classes. And she just did one on pattern repeat, so I jumped on it. I don't want to be a fabric designer. I just am so fascinated by it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. The store-bought swells more. Oh, really? I don't remember that. Hey, Daphne. How's it going? Happy Thursday. That emote's really cute in YouTube. It's almost cuter than the one on the iPhone. Yeah, I'll show you guys. I did a really narrow, a little like less than a quarter when I did my first cast so that I could do a little bit bigger here. That way I know I will not get those threads because these threads they're insipid. You know, there's a lot of them. Check my pocket opening. Yeah, that is way better than last time. The one I did in the gingham was just like just the right size, and so it was kind of small, you know. You've avoided them. Oh yeah, someone else said, a couple of you guys said that yesterday in the chat. I wonder why the instructions are sparse. I just feel like I think this time on the zip double pattern, I got a few people saying, you know, I don't think I could sew this without the video. And that's like totally legit feedback, you know. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm a video oriented sewing patterns, and so I clarified a couple of things, but I didn't rewrite it, and they come with photograph steps. That was kind of a big seam allowance, huh? But at least it's gathered. I can't imagine putting out a pattern that isn't just like you're sure people are going to understand, because then you'd have to listen to that and see people saying that all the time, right? Oh, those the instructions are sparse, I'm not going to buy it. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't have superpowers. I just have a lot of hours sitting here. I reheard that thing where it's like it takes 10,000 hours to get good at something, and I was like, I wonder how much time that is. You know, when did I feel that way? I think we're gonna be here a long time. I wish my machine did 2 rows of stitching right now. This is a lot of gathering. So I think what I'm gonna do, I've done this before, is usually on something this big especially, I'm actually going to hem this first too. I would break up the gathering stitches into 2 sections, right? The front and the back, and then I like to overlap them, the gather rows like this, because if you just stop them right up to each other, I used to do that all the time, what happens is you have this spot in here that doesn't get gathered, right? Because it just kind of falls off the gathers when you gather it up. And then you have to like manually do it, and they just don't look the same, and you know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those things. So I always overlap it. But I also like 2 rows, and overlapping 2 rows right here means there's 4 rows of stitching, and it gets a little messy and confusing. But what I found is if I do that from the center points rather than the side, it's a little easier to manage because I'm not dealing with the seam. And that's what I'm probably going to do today on this, you know. So. Oh, really? I've heard a lot about I know a lot of people like the Jolly patterns, but I've never made one, so I'm kind of curious about them. This is my top edge. Okay, I'm just gonna hem this. Oof, I need to get rid of some of these threads now. Kind of a never-ending thing, you know, these threads. I'm gonna cut the little tip off here of that, like that. Yeah, that actually worked really good. I thought it might make a little angle, but it did. It just took the bulk away, you know. So the binding was different. Is that because though the binding on a baseball shirt is a pretty specific style? Like a raglan with the like curved facing. That would be kind of fun to make. That kind of reminds me of my knit Caroline pajama tops that I made. Every time I put them on, I love the curved edge that I did with the piping, or the fake piping, and it feels kind of like baseball-esque that way, but it's not it's not. Oh, see, look at that. Did you see that? We're gonna change our needle. I don't know if you can see that, but it just snagged my fabric. Let's change the needle. 16 or 14. I think I'm going to do 16. Oh, cool. Me too, Daphne. I think there was another colorway. Yeah, that needs to be changed. I should have done this yesterday. I kind of knew. With chicken boots, I never had to wonder what size needle was in my machine. I could only use one size, and it was 18. And Now that I'm bouncing around between things, I want kind of that thing I used to have on my machine that I would remind myself, you know. Oh, Sarah loves threading her needle on camera. Okay, what was that? I love a new needle. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. I'm kind of curious how they did it. I don't need to stitch again because I did change the bobbin. Okay. Just a good reminder, you should be changing your needle way more often than you are. I guarantee your needle needs to be changed. Yeah, Brooke. Hi, Brooke. It is. It's very floaty. This is definitely like if I were to describe this fabric in words without having seen it, I'd be like, watercolor fabrics? That sounds like something my grandma would have worn. The threads on this are kind of epic. I'm kind of pulling on this as I go. I really want to make sure it doesn't draw in at all. And I cut my ruffles on the cross grain. Yeah, Brooke knows how I feel about romance. She's just trying to poke the bear. I know her. I need to talk books with you, Brooke. Oh, so I finished the new the new Hunger Games book. Megan, did you finish that yet? I'm not going to say anything else because I know Megan was going to read it. And now I'm reading Call Down the Hawk, which I'm a really big fan of. I'm a really big fan of Maggie Stiefvater and the Raven Boys, the Raven Cycle series. I haven't read all of her books. I did like the Scorpio races a lot. But I'm reading Call Down the Hawk, which is like a spin-off series. I'm kind of curious if anyone else has read that. Yeah, me too, Jan. I think the economy is going to change really drastically. I think a lot of folks are realizing, I don't need that anymore, but I do need this. I would like a little more self-reliance or to support people locally who are making food and things like that, right? I think which is all really great things, you know? Like our farmers market was able to stay open, but they did a very aggressive face mask campaign. I mean, they even hired me to make them masks, right? So, and I'm not usually for hire. I am, but I don't put it out there, right? They just asked. So, and I think that's been kind of critical because there's food shortages and things like that. When the farmers are like, hello, we have food. Yeah, I know, Brooke. I know. I really wish it, because the reason I want to talk to you is that I don't want to ask my sister for the umpteenth time about the series she really likes. And I'm confused between a couple series, and I'm trying to figure out what they are and where I need to go. And it's just because I listen to them, I get kind of confused. And I want to give them a try, even if there's a little romance. You know? So. Yeah, she does. She came out. Okay, so before you just run and get it, let's talk. It is Cornelius Snow's backstory. It's him as a young man. And if you don't remember who he is the orchestrator of he's like the president in the time of Katniss Everdeen. Oh, really, Sydney? That's awesome. She did. I really like her buttons, and I did not see that. 50-50. A lot of them are just here for the money. Oh, you really think so? Sewing machines sold out in the UK? You know what? So I follow Aja Barber, and she does a lot of advocacy for ending fast fashion. And I really like her stuff and like what she researches, and it's very honest. You know, like she'll be like, okay, these people now are trash. She doesn't say that, but I'm just saying, like, she'll be like, oh, I've recommended these people to you before. And she kind of holds those folks accountable, and then lifts up other companies that she finds. And she's been talking about that, like, okay, now that these stores are opening up, are you all really going to go buy all these things, you know? So it's kind of interesting, but at the same time, she juxtaposes it against, hey, there's all these garment workers that make barely anything in other countries who will be out of work, right? So if fast fashion doesn't continue, those people are going to suffer. So it's this really weird dichotomy, but they're being underpaid. So it's just that kind of, let's rethink this here, you know, because these people that have these sewers in these other countries, they're doing fine. You know, she's really hard on H&M and what's the other one? Which I've never shopped at H&M. But you know, places like that. So it's interesting. Like, I think like that kind of stuff is it's a good conversation, you know. Oh wow, really, Daphne? You know, I imagine some folks are just like, that's how long it takes me, because they're just not as fast. And on a home sewing machine, it is a little slower just by default, you know. So yeah, Brooke, my sister and I did our own little like mini read-along book club thing for that book. I started before her, and of course she finished in like a second. So yeah, who is it, Sydney? Okay, where's the other center? Okay, there it is. This is a long way to go. This is when you want to like make your differential on your serger work. Just make this ruffle smaller. No, I haven't missed anything at H&M. My former kind of close friend back in Humboldt, she used to shop there a lot. And we would go on these trips to San Francisco, and I would just go along with wherever she wanted. I'm not big on shopping, so I just would go for the fun of it and be the driver or whatever. And I would wait in a cafe, a local cafe, like a cafe near it, not local as in, I don't know where I was, but I'm not trying to say it was only a local cafe. Might have been a Starbucks. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying, like, I would wait for her. And one time I was like, all right, I'm going to go in and see. Like, the first time I went in, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not buying anything here. And I kind of found that interesting, you know, because she's a very responsible person. But it's also like not for me to police people. So some folks are just like, but it's a good deal, you know. So yeah, I imagine that, Louise. You know, like, there are machines that are sold, like at Walmart or Target here. And I bet those sold out, you know, because they're accessible, right? And if your local sewing machine dealer is closed or limited in inventory for a $200 machine, you're going to go to Target or Walmart here. So, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, a $200 investment, you only need, you know, to sell what? 6 masks to pay that off? According to, like, Daphne, what did Daphne say? Yeah. So, see, putting my overlap in the center here is going to also force me to make sure that I do a good job in that section because it's right at the center. They're really? Come on, there's used machines that are so great. I mean, isn't like eBay an option or something like that? I don't know. I just don't know. All things in moderation. I would definitely be for raising prices of everything and selling less of everything. Right? raise the prices of a lot of things. Not everything. Don't dislike me for saying that. I would like to see certain things, especially things that are made here, raise the price of those things, give that person a living wage, and then sell less. You would be more conscientious about like buying one of something rather than three of something, right? And never using the other two. It's not a popular opinion, though, I know. And there's flaws in it. It'll probably take a while to get that to that kind of world. All right, so here I am kind of getting lost on this last there. So I have 3 rows now overlapping. Okay. So I always have, like, sometimes, like, if I get these two are really close, and here's my other one. I need a spot to just put my 4th one. So I might just, like, kind of hug this edge. Maybe start about right here. Let's see, what's that seam allowance there? Yeah, gotta stay in there. But I don't want to sew over my threads either, so let's get them out of the way. I'm gonna try and go between these. It's nice if you can line up the 2 ends that are going to sew together or be pulled together to each other. It's just easier. I'll go very careful between this really narrow one. I'm glad I'm getting the ruffle over with. The waist will be easier compared. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm sure it's taking a toll. And I'm sure a lot of those machines maybe sat for a bit in closets, you know, getting used. I feel really weird charging friends for masks. Like you know, Cricket has a friend whose mom has MS, and they're just tired of using surgical masks, so they asked if she offered probably if they could have a washable mask, you know. So I'm not gonna charge that person. I don't mind, you know. It's like the one thing I can do. Can't do much. All right, so let's start the long dark of gathering this. All right, so I'm gonna pull the threads on both first so I can find them later, because they get kind of lost, especially when this starts getting really thready. And this gauze is very, very thready, right? So I'm gonna try and, I love how I'm on my best behavior with you guys when I sew. Right, Daphne? But a lot of people want their machines portable, especially in the quilting world, because they like to go to retreats and classes. So I get that. So I'm gonna try and keep my fingers below this raw edge, so that I'm not like swiping it and making it really thready. Yeah, I totally agree, Daphne. I'm always trying to encourage folks who sew a lot because they're so affordable. You know, they're so affordable. People spend easily $2,000 on a home sewing machine, and they use 2 of the stitches. So. And I know folks have those tabletop Jukies, so I feel like that was a really good move on their part, because maybe they're kind of semi-industrial, and it makes it a lot more palatable, you know. Yeah, who was that, Sydney? I hate that too. I really don't like how Instagram makes things. They pull posts up that you haven't liked, haven't seen. I mean, it's nice to be able to see things, but at the same time, I don't want it I want the chronological back the way it used to be a long time ago. It was so nice. I really miss that. Because the other day, I saw this ad, and I was like, what is that? And so I knew that I needed to take a screenshot right away, because if I navigated away and came back, it would be gone. The ads always disappear, right? And it wasn't anything racy or anything. It was a tea. It was this crazy tea. But one of the ingredients in it, is there any Last of Us game players here? Because I'm just going to like do a little warning. One of the ingredients in this tea was cordyceps. And cordyceps is this, it's a fungus, but it's the virus, it's a responsible in The Last of Us for creating this mutation that creates these infected people. So I was like, wait a minute, tea made with cordyceps. If you've played that game, there's no way you're drinking that. But they based the virus in that game on something real. And it is this virus, this fungus that attacks ants, and it jumps the species in the game. So anyway. Yes, Louise. Yes. Yeah, Daphne, exactly. Like, think about my last machine and the one that's sitting right there. That machine is over 30 years old, and I'm still using it. So if this is, I just bought one machine, and I'll have it forever. So yeah, that's a pretty good investment. And this one cost me $1,800 with the electronics. So you can get it for like $600 to $700, I think, without. Oh, that's so cool, Kelly. I've never gotten to see any of that. Yeah, right, Sydney, that algorithm. I just want it to be a setting. Let me click it off. I don't understand the point of that and how it benefits Instagram. I'm far less likely to engage now because there's some folks that just post a lot, right? And so if I see their stuff more often and I'm liking it, then Instagram thinks I like that stuff and they want me to see it. I'm just trying to get it to move along. I was not liking anything so that I could see everything. But that wasn't working. You know, like nothing works. So now here I am on this really thick part here, and I'm going to go to the other side. Okay. So here's this one and this one. I start them both so that the strings are, it's the strings. Did I really just say that? It's like when you're a new knitter and you call yarn strings, or a new sewer and you call thread strings. They're kind of strings right now. So yeah, exactly. So then that's all you see. Right, Daphne? Exactly. Yeah, I mean, the whole Instagram thing, I'm just like, what was the point of that? You can still show me ads. Go ahead and show me ads. You're getting your money. Stop making it non-chronological, you know? Yeah, right, Penny? Exactly. So an industrial does not work for everybody. And the thing is, like my husband's like, why don't you make the upstairs second bedroom so-so? And I was like, well, I'm totally down for that. It's big enough. It's beautiful. Like, the lighting is beautiful. And it's cool enough. But I told him, I was like, but there's that little thing about the industrial machine. He was like, oh, yeah. Neither one of us like moving it, you know? And the thing is, I could hire people to do that. But then it makes it so, like, okay, it's up there. You know? But it's actually a good I might do that. Like, we have this little cottage that I could do it in eventually. But I think I'll wait till the dust settles. You know? Yeah, getting it serviced is the maintenance thing. Like, maintaining it is really important, and it does cost me a bit because there's no one locally that I have found good enough to maintain my machine. I really wish my brother would get trained because he's really good with clutch motors and things like that. That's cool, Louise. How close to, not live, but like, were they filming it during COVID? You know what I mean? You got married this year? Congratulations. That's so cool. You were lucky to find a good channel. Ooh, what's that? Yeah, I have Acorn. It's not on Acorn. I don't have it right now. Maybe it is. Maybe they changed things. But I finally was like, all right, that's what I want now. And it's not on there. Okay. All right. I think I have one more section left. This isn't going too bad, right? You guys are entertaining me, or I'm entertaining myself. That's funny. When my husband and I I called a practice honeymoon. Wait. That's going that way. Wait, where's the, oh, here, wait a minute. Where's this one? Oh, here they are. I called practice. I called it practice because we went to Scotland. He had to go to England for work, and so I was like, let's go to Scotland because I love it there. And we went. I said, this is our practice honeymoon because I want to go somewhere warm for my honeymoon. And that's because we lived in a climate almost identical to Scotland. And the weather was just terrible when we were there, like slushing and stuff like that. And I got really sick. I got one of the sickest I've ever been. I got while I was there. So yeah, I don't even think we had a TV. I just powered through. It was awful. But we had a good time, so. Oh, direct drive. Yeah, Penny, that's where mine was at. Getting it, the cost of the service more than what it's worth. But the thing is, the machine and maintaining it, that's fine. Like, it doesn't matter how much it's worth. It's how much it's worth to you, So the only reason I got rid of my machine is the motor finally died. But it was also 30 years old, so it was okay. That's going to be the natural progression. And so the machine is still usable. It's sitting out in the other room, and I'm going to give it to Rayanne. But it doesn't have the electronics or anything like that. It's just a straight up machine, It works still great. It just does not involve the little bells and whistles. So. Oh, I see what you're saying, Penny. Oh, that's right, Kelly. I remember that. Oh, it was filmed months ago. Okay. Because when you said the series was kind of difficult, I was wondering, I'm like, I wonder if that's because this all broke out. This is from a thread. This is from my bobbin drawer. Must have came along with the screwdriver. Okay, here is this one. This is my last section. Large thread. Go. It should be on BritBox. I don't have BritBox. I'll have to look at that. Yeah, I remember that, Kelly. Facebook just made a change to my pages thing, and I cannot find the Facebook comments now. And I just use it through the Pages app. I don't have Facebook downloaded on my phone. But I need to probably look at that. Oh, yeah, I would need to look at it anyway because people probably have asked to be in there. I should probably be in there more. They're going to be like, great, I waited all this time to get accepted in here, and you guys don't even do anything. All right. Hopefully I kind of guessed how much it's supposed to gather. All right, so have you ever done something like this and you twisted the pieces and you didn't realize it and you just can figure it out until you go to like, okay, do this, and you're like, oh, they're twisted. Oh, you can? I had acorn. Oh, Sydney, it's okay. Maybe they'll post again about it. That's pretty cool. That's very smart of them, and I like that. It kind of welcomes them into the sewing community, kind of you know, bridges that whatever, you know, like it kind of gets them into, okay, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do quilting or sew, like clothing? Come on, you know. All right, so this is the top of the skirt and this is the bottom of the skirt, and I'm gonna sew it from the gather side. So I'm gonna flip this skirt's really big. I probably gathered it too much. And let me make sure this is notched. Doesn't look like it. Sometimes if you have something really big, it's good to even notch it maybe in quarters. I mean, why not, right? Yay! Mine are rayon and I love it. The pattern challenge they gave them. Oh, okay, Louise. Oh. It's pretty cool. I liked that one series you guys recommended. I found the hosts to be really annoying. But I liked the contestants a lot. That one on Netflix. I really like my rayon pair. What did you make your black ones out of, Sydney? All right, so side seams to side seams. That is the bottom. Making sure that my this is the bottom of my pocket, right? I might have to get on the ground and get my pincushion. Let's see, what else could you do? I find like because they're so full. Next in fashion, no, that was it. I find that those are so full. You kind of want something with heaviness so that you wouldn't want those culottes getting hung up on your bum, you know. And it's so that you want them to like hang down. And the rayon is heavy, very flowy. But that Brussels washer linen would be nice, and I think that's pretty wide. And what's the other one? What's that? The one that Hearts gives us occasionally. It's like a Tencel linen blend. That would be really nice. Those are solids though, so I don't know if you want a print or not. Yeah, I wore those on Sunday, and the whole time I was like, I love these things. You know, the best part about them is like my thighs don't rub, you know, and I don't have to wear shorts. Like I have like a chafing balm I can use. Oh, look at that. I definitely gathered this too much. Dang it. And I can wear shorts. That's fine. But occasionally I don't want to. It adds more bulk under my clothing. And they can be hot. So I like that the Tanya culottes are nice and flowy and my thighs don't rub. Shoot, I gathered these way too much. But I kind of like that I can pull it out here at the center. All right, that's better. You guys gonna make it through all this gathering? Holy heck. Rayon linen blend. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, right, Sydney? Yeah. Chub rub, yep. You don't even have to have chub for it to rub, you know? It's just like sitting all day, skin on skin, you know? I like the Mega Babe stuff. Mega Babe makes it like, and it's like a like in a deodorant stick form, so you don't have to get it on your fingers. You can just rub it on. I love that. It's great. And they make a travel size, which is kind of nice, so you can like have it with you for traveling. Can't believe I gathered too much. Oi. Oi! It's a lot. I would have far fewer threads if I had just done a little check along the way. Thrifty Notions. Yeah. I haven't heard of them either. Who was it? One of you who, no, Feel Good Fibers. Have I told you guys about Feel Good Fibers on Instagram? They are doing a place where you can sell people's fabric, destashed fabric, and also you can sell your destashed fabric on there. It's only going to work if people buy stuff on there, right? But it might be a great way to find, I don't know how many garment fabrics are on there. I haven't really looked at it. But my quilting friend told me about it. And I think it's really great for folks who are looking for out-of-print stuff like quilters. So, yeah, Jan, my mom had petty pants. And basically, like, instead of a petticoat, it was petty pants. And I think, and they looked really cute. You know, they sometimes hung out from the bottom. And that's what she would wear under things. She's more of a pants wearer, but she would wear those sometimes. And I always wanted some. That's the kind of sewing I honestly wouldn't mind doing more of, is the essentials of my life. You know, like, I really need something to stop Loki from shoving his toy under the couch. You know? Like, I need like a snake. A stuffed snake. Yeah, like a tap pant. Yeah, a split slip. Is that what that's called? Split slip? I can barely say that. I feel like I'm undoing all the time I just spent on this. And I am. I actually am. Okay. We're there. Now it's just keeping all these threads to the edge. And this one. All right. Let's do it. I'm just going to start sewing. I only have 4 pins in this, but I'm going to give it a shot. I need a place to put the pins. Yeah, like if I go to an amusement park, I will most likely still wear a dress, but I will wear shorts under it. That I'm not going to mess around, because even if you put like a anti-chafe cream or something, it'll wear off, especially with that much friction and heat. Like when I went to Harry Potter World, I was wearing shorts under everything. Plus, I wasn't sure if I was going to be upside down. You know, I didn't know what kind of rides they had. This is kind of like, I don't really need to pin this a lot as long as I've got my sections kind of under the right length, you know? But if I were to serge this, I don't know if I would pin it more, because pins can really hide in the folds of the serging, and that's when you serge over a pin. Nobody likes it when someone says, oh, I'm never gonna do that. No one likes that person who says that about someone else's parenting or sewing, you know? So it may happen. All intentions are, you know, just that. So yeah, Louise, right? Feel Good Fibers. Check them out. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I don't have much to destash. Mask making really kind of tore through my stash of like stuff like that. But I do have a couple of bolts, and it'd probably be a good place to do that. Dang it, I'm below this. I'm not at my proper seam allowance. I'm at 1/2 inch. That's my default. Yeah, it's a kind of I probably could do that for my stiffener, but I don't have much left of that now. I have like I want to say I have about 50 yards left. Selling it recently did a really good job on lowering the amount I have, which is really nice. I'm just trying to get rid of it as things so that I can downsize my office, you know? I would really like to have a smaller place. It's just me in here. It's really big. And if I move it home again, I'm definitely gonna have to downsize, but it's totally doable. Like I really only exist in this little room right here, and then I have those amazing shelves over there, but those shelves take up more space than what I have in them, you know? So, and a lot of the cubbies are empty. Even the bins that are in them are empty. So, you know, I have room to get smaller. Oh, that's great, Penny, yeah. Yeah, I mean, but if it ruins the knife, you know, that thing is expensive, you know? The knives are like 35 bucks. And that doesn't seem expensive until you maybe did it twice in 1 month and you had to wait 4 weeks to get it. You know? They don't always carry your knife in stock. I think anyone who buys a serger should just buy a spare knife right off the bat if it doesn't come with one. You'll be so thankful you did if you go over it, you know? It's gonna happen. Even if you don't ever go over it, it's gonna get dull eventually. And if it takes a long time because you don't use it as much, you might be happy especially that you have that spare, because by then maybe your machine isn't as, you know, being stocked as much. Where's the center? Is this the center? Right here? Yeah, okay. The gal who handles my pattern testing, she put me on the pattern review website. So I'm actually legit on there. So that's kind of exciting. If any of you are on there and have made one of my patterns, you can say, stuff. I need to go on there and do it. I really need to get better about that kind of stuff. Oh, right, Penny? Exactly, yeah. I think that's another thing, like we were talking about how we're going to be changing some of our habits. Definitely at the beginning, food scarcity is like, that's a terrifying thing to me. Like, you know, and but I also know better than to hoard certain foods, right? I don't really have the space for it. And I also think that then that's when it leads to food scarcity for other people who can't afford to buy a ton of food at one time, right? Or maybe they have a big family and they're like, okay, I need to buy food every couple days because we don't have the space to store food for this many people for a week's worth of food, right? So you know, it's okay. You can go without that, you know, a couple extra things. And so, but I do think, like, it made me kind of go, okay, I have all the equipment to make sausage, dehydrate things and dry things, and I have, like, more jars than you can imagine for canning. And it made me kind of go, oh, I like doing this stuff, so maybe I'll do a little bit more, you know, again. It's just a bummer that the time you spend doing that doesn't equate to the amount of time the amount of money you would save by not spending your time at work working. You know, if there were direct correlation, you could be like, okay, I'm going to work less, which would then open more work up for someone else, and then I will do this, but it doesn't save as much, you know. We're too global. All right, almost to the beginning. I'm pretty good. This is my last opportunity to let out some gathers, though. They got to go that way. I gotta make sure I got it right. Because I don't have it at the side seam. My start stop. I mean my gather start stop, you know. So no, you can't, Louise. Yeah, that would be nice, but no. I imagine in places where resources are more scarce that they do that, you know. It's not to say that you can't. I just don't know much about it. I've asked before, and they were like, no. It's like rotary blades, you know. Like there are rotary knife sharpening sets. But I felt like the amount of work it took to sharpen them, it just didn't last very long. Because my thing is, like, I don't like throwing things away. I also really don't like throwing something away like that, like something like metal, you know, like, why can't this be continued to be used? And it's a sharp, like a sharp item, and so I don't like throwing things like that away also. And so I was for a time sharpening the blades, but it doesn't last as long. All right. That mess. Yowza. Let's just get rid of some of it. This right here. I'm going to take this out because it's dipping below my seam allowance. There we go. That's good. Just take it off out so it gets away from there. Any of you all users ever use your all like this? Like you have them in your hand with your scissors? There's a definite knack to it. Shave and a haircut, 2 bits. Did I tell you guys I had to give my husband a haircut and he bought trimmers? If someone in your life does that, just say no, okay? Just say no. Unless you have the skills. Because no YouTube video in the world trains you how to use those things. I finally was like, I have to use scissors. It looked like 2 different people gave him a haircut from the left side of his head to the right side of his head. He was happy. He was like, oh, I feel so much better. And, you know, it's not like I look closely, but he's not seeing anybody. But at the same time, I was like, once I switched to scissors, it went a little better, but just say no. All right, let's look and see how the threads are before I serge it. And then I'll top stitch it as well. I like to make, this is like, I used to always skip this. And there would be like a little piece of the raw edge folding down. And I'm like, what? I was so good though. So just look. Because it is hard to fix once you serge it. Yeah, it was, my husband's so cute. It's a good thing. Yeah, so he was like, the trimmers, that's what they do. They just go zip, 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 and it's done. And I was like, really? You know? Yeah, so, see, my experience with things like that was when I worked at the farm and we had sheep shearers. And all the guys in the summertime would use the sheep shearers on their head. Because they were hot and they didn't really care. And they would all go around with their, you know, short hair, shaved heads. And it would just slowly grow back, right? And it was just kind of a a fun diversion, you know. So, when he did that, I was like, I do not remember these things being like easy to wield. And so he's like, you're just gonna go around across the back. I can barely remember this. I've already blocked out part of it because I was like, I had that. If any of you watched Big Bang Theory, I had that Penny moment. Do you remember the episode where she cuts Sheldon's hair because his barber is in the hospital sick? And Sheldon's like, no, nobody else can cut my hair, right? And she's like, just let me. And he's like, always sitting there like, you know, his hair's not long at all. Like, it hasn't grown to the perceptive eye, right? But he's like, oh, this hair's always in my eyes, you know? And so Penny's like, look, just let me cut your hair. So by the end of the episode, of course, she lets him. And she's all done. And he's like, you did do a good job. She's like, all right, so let me just clean up the bottom on your neck. He's like, okay. And she gets the trimmers out. And she's going across the bottom. And it tickles him. And he goes, oh! And she goes straight up the back of his head. And it's shaved. That I had almost had one of those moments. Like, I did, but it didn't shave it down to the head, the scalp. And I was like, oh, yeah, I gotta blend that now. Yeah, right? Wait. Oh, what can you not fix if you search it? Oh, if some of your raw edge is poked out on the outside of the seam. So, yeah, I did on the hedgehog dress, and it was okay. So, yeah. So one side of my husband's head looked actually pretty good, but the other side looked completely different. And I just was like, he's just like, just use the trimmers. And it is not what he was thinking was happening. I was like, Anyway. It was, and at the very end of it, I had that Hermione moment where, I love how all my haircutting moments of this relate to these things. In like the Deathly Hallows Part 1, and she's giving Harry a haircut, and she goes, oh my God. And he's like, what? And then the next day, and because she thinks of something else, it's nothing to do with the haircut, but then like the next day, she goes, don't ever let me cut your hair again. I was like, yeah, that's how I felt at the end of that. I was like, oh my God. All right, let's serge this. There we go. The awkward serging. I wish I could get this a little closer, but I just can't. This is the camera that is kind of a problem, too. Thought I told you guys about that. Yeah, he was so excited when they arrived, and I was like, oh no. I can't remember when I was like, okay, let's cut your hair. Oh, what it was. I think he had to do something. I was like, fine, let's just do it. Let's get it over with. I was so nervous, you know. I would probably spend a little more time tidying up this edge before I started, especially since I pulled out some of my gathering stitches. Like this one's just like caught in a couple of my stitches. I don't really like that. I would do a better job of that, but I'm not going to spend much more time on this. So I still have to do the waist, but then we're done. All right, so I will also show you what I mean by doing that tail. And so sometimes I do kind of come at it perpendicular and turn the best I can. So I get a really good start on there. Like it's really firm on there. This is a seam, so I'm going to have to kind of finesse that a little bit. This is going to go in my water glass, I think. I don't want these things to push like this away. That's the gauze doing that. See, it likes to curl up. I'm not going to hit my finger. There's a guard there. Just in case you're wondering. no. Oh my God, I think I cut my dress. I cut my dress. Wow. All right, let me finish serging, and I'm gonna fix that. Oh my gosh, I cut my dress. This is the most awkward serging position. I knew I shouldn't have done that. Dang. I mean, it's good it's in the, oh wait, it's in the skirt. Yeah, it's in the skirt. It's kind of how I cut my husband's hair, just like that. Oh, it's just so full. It didn't even feel like there were extra layers there. I could see it. Wow. Like when I'm holding it so it's flat like this. And that, I don't know how that happened. I am just as eager as you to see the hole. Double gauze, man. So floofy. Here's my beginning. I actually think I cut it really bad too. The drama. Alright, so see, this looks like when you go on it looks pretty good, but when you go off it doesn't look like that. Alright, so I go a little past and go over my serging, and I run my blade against this, but don't cut anything because I want to cut those threads. And then I pull it off as vertical as possible. And don't let the dress suck back in because that happens. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what I did. Bye. See you Saturday. All right, where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Oh yeah, that's pretty bad. Well, bugger. Look at that. Look at this whole section. Well, there you go, folks. Is that the front of my dress? Yep. Smack dab in the front of my dress. Okay, let's see how bad it is. Let's see. Like right here, it's not cut. Right there, it's not cut. I have not done that in more than a decade. I wanted a kangaroo pocket. You're right. That's right. We were talking about that. I'm gonna be a little careful taking this out because I have a tendency to make things worse when I'm a little nervous and eager to see the damage. Yeah, crappers. Many bad words. Have you guys ever done that before? Shoot. You know what? I really need to set up my serger better because that is on me. Like sitting there at an awkward angle because it's not directly in front of me. The machine's over this machine, so I'm doing it like this. And it is really hard to feel what's happening because I'm a little uncomfortable. And I'm standing. which that doesn't bug me so much. Oof, it looks like that's it right there. That might be all of it. That's not so bad. Let's see. That is all it is. Megan. All right. Whew. Okay, let's get rid of... Is that really all I took out? Just this little section right here? Huh. Okay. Little scissors here. So I think I can patch that. Definitely had mishaps or something like that happens. Or stain, you know. Let's see how that looks on the other side. Yeah, I was like right in my... Oh man. So this is the front of my dress. Well, that's it. Can you see that? You have, Kelly? Yeah. Well, I think that what I can do is this is why I keep every little scrap of interfacing. The problem is I don't want to patch it so that you can see it through the fabric. You know look at that, it's right in the center. You know what I could do? Put a center seam. Hey Terry, how's it going? You just missed big time drama. You got a pretty seam ripper. What happened? I just searched through the front of my dress. So you know what I think I will do? I'm gonna cut the dress here and take that out. That's what I'm gonna do. You guys ready to see that? Yeah. I'll just put a seam right there. It's the dress. So I can leave the ruffle. I can pop it out right here. And then I can just take this and sew it a seam right there. I think that that's the best thing because a seam is something you're used to seeing. And if I were to patch this, I would spend an hour or more on it, right? I would probably want to use fusible interfacing or sew a patch, and that's just so obvious. Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, I love that first emoji, the color of it. No, because I did the cutaway pockets. This is the smack dab front. This is the coochie. So, yeah. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fix it lickety-split. You're going to be probably surprised how fast I can fix this. I'm just going to take this out here. I will keep streaming too. Like I'll keep this fixed in here. Like I'm always worried that I'm gonna take much time, but whatever. You can fast forward if you don't want to watch this part. I mean, you guys are all a captive audience, but I mean everyone watching this in the future. You don't always get so lucky that you can just put a seam. Even if this were off to the side, I would probably put a seam. This is all super gathered. So why not, right? I lose a few gathers and that's about it. If you really wanted to be accurate, you could take the whole ruffle and skirt off and then redistribute all the gathers, but I don't feel like I'm gonna need to do that. So I'm just gonna take it off right here. I may have to take off more here so that the gathers aren't condensed right here. Yeah, let's just see. You know, I could even do it so that I don't lose much and do it at an angle, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just keep it nice and parallel. I mean, crap happens. If this were in a factory, it would go in the trash. Right? I don't have to put a seam in the ruffle, but if I do, then I won't have this the issue of the gathers being a little off. And I don't want to go straight through the ruffle because I don't want a seam going through this seam right here. I wouldn't go all the way through. I would, if I did a seam on the ruffle, I would do a seam here, and then re-sew the waist seam. It'll be, or the ruffle seam. It'd be less noticeable that way. Okay. Okay. So let's see how wide I need to make that is. Right there. So right where that center notch is. Okay. No one will ever know. I mean, what happens at so-so stays at so-so. Right? Hi, Ray. Gosh, yeah. I wish I could remember all the crazy things like this that have happened to me. You know? There's only been like maybe 1 or 2 times I couldn't come up with something. And I feel like these things make you kind of better. So let's see. Even if I don't catch it all the way, that's okay because my next seam will. Let's iron it. Yeah, I made a big hole. I certainly did. And I'm never using my serger again. No, I'm just teasing. It never happened. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I think I should have trimmed that a little bit more. I did, remember I told you on my gingham one, I made the mistake when I cut this out. I cut the curve for this pocket on one front and one back. I don't know. I actually tried to figure out how I did that, but it's probably because I unfolded it and I thought what I was doing was unfolding it and just dealing with the front to cut that curve out. And so I had to cut both skirts down the middle, and luckily I had like a right and a left, and then I took the back and put it, so both my back and my front have a seam down the middle, and I just matched the gingham really, really well, and you can't tell. So apparently the Myosotis for me is always going to have a seam down the center front. I need to trim that seam more, but I'm going to do it with my bigger scissors when I'm over there. You guys are here for the drama, right? Where's Nancy? I thought that would summon Nancy for sure. I haven't done that in so long. Always on my mind. Oh, I should have taken a picture of that. Huh. I don't think so because I don't think it's going to affect the fit much, Megan, because all I did was take out a little bit of gathers, right? Oh, wait, I want to trim this a little bit more. There's a never mind. That's it. You know, yeah, so that's another thing I did. I finished that Audrey jean jacket. Turned out beautiful. And then I put the tack buttons on, right? And the buttonholes, and I could not get the hole cut of the buttonhole, and I'd never had that happen. I couldn't use any, like nothing I used worked. It was just too thick where the seam was. I could have done something. I could have like forced it, but I was really worried I would cut the jacket because it was just so, I had to push so hard. And I didn't have a buttonhole cutter at the time. This is what made me buy a buttonhole cutter. And so, and it's what happened that made me buy the buttonhole cutter. I was like, okay, got to set this. I actually got up from my machine and walked away. But I was cutting the hole of the button hole with my seam ripper, and I always do that. I always go in one end and out the other and then pull, right? So like I put my point in the beginning of the buttonhole, and I put the point out of the end, and then I cut that little fold of fabric, right? That's how I do it. And I ran a seam ripper, and when I did that, I cut the hole. It worked okay. And then, but because of a little bit of the tension, I put a hole, straight up hole in the middle of the collar, like right where the collar comes down. I put a hole clean through, and I was like, oh, I just got up and walked away. I was like, okay, I'm done. And so I put in a double-sided piece of fusible interfacing in that collar really carefully because I didn't want the edges to fray so it would be noticeable, because denim has that unmistakable white thread, you know? So I did that, and I left it. And it's the same thing, Terry. I feel like, oh, once that's washed a bunch, it's gonna be a issue. It'll fray right there. And you could do something like clever by like maybe putting a pin there. You could, it was perfectly placed for like a pin or an embroidery or something like that. I could take the collar off and replace it, but I had no more of the fabric I did on the under collar. So I just left it. But it stops me from selling it because of that. I feel bad about it. And you can't even see it. It's almost, if I point it out, people are like, oh yeah. But I just don't point it out. All right, so now I just need to get all this into there. And so I'm going to back it up a little bit. So her kids are big too. This is better than an action movie. Exactly. Oh God, Louise. Well, I don't know. Wonder. All right, how far do I want to go back? I'm going to go about right here. So this is, let's see if I can get it. What I do to take out my serging stitch. Also, let me show you how I double that tail before I forget. Where's the tail? Here's the tail. This is not an ideal tail because it's on the circle seam. Oh gosh, that is, see, that is, look at that. I almost ran my, oh my God, this gauze. I'm not sewing gauze for a while. So on a seam that's like in the round like this, it's not as ideal to do this because when I pull this back, you're going to see the little bump right there, right? Not as big of a deal as what it could be, but if you were doing this on like a side seam like this and you went off the edge, this is what I do. I take this and I pull it in to the seam and I stitch across it. So I'll stitch across it, and if that doesn't seem like enough, sometimes I'll even pull it back again and do it some more, you know, just to kind of make sure. That's usually enough. Sometimes you can go down straight down the middle of the serging as well, but this really tends to make it nice and tidy, like that. And then I can cut all this off, solid in the knowledge that I just secured it, like that. So that looks pretty good. There's my little back stitch right there. And there. There's my back stitch as well. I always know what my back stitch looks like. Okay, Sydney. I won't be gone. I gotta still fix this and put my skirt on. But then I'm done because I already hemmed this. Alright, so where's that spot? Should we see how it looks too? You guys want to see my new seam? So yeah, so that's my new seam right down the center of my skirt. And once it's gathered, it probably won't even be noticeable. I was more worried about putting my skirt upside down, you know? Okay. So when I take out serging sometimes, what I do is this little, let me take off the autofocus really quick. Yeah, Louise. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to take off the autofocus. So let's see if you can see this. Does that focus in? Does it? So I take out this bottom, see, I think I went right here, right? So I take out this bottom stitch, the one that you can kind of see going boink, 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 boink along the bottom here. I take that out for, I think that's it. Let me make sure. Well, this is the one I take out actually. So for my serger, I have it set up with 4 threads and it has 2 needles threaded, okay? So down the middle of my serging, there is this stitch right down the middle. Can you guys see that? I take that out first, okay? And it comes out pretty easily. I just focus on that seam like that, see? So I'll kind of get an end, kind of like when you take out a straight stitch, right? So now that stitch is missing there, and then I'll do it over here, right? This is how I take out serging when I have to do it and I'm like, nah, right? Okay, so now I have that. So now it's just a 3-thread serger. And now what I do is I focus on that bottom little one, that boink, boink, boink one, right? Do I do it on this side or this side? Same side. I think I do it on the same side. I haven't taken out serging in a while. And it's the same thing, like taking out a straight stitch. It's a little messier, but once you do this, the others will just be loose. They won't be, see, they won't be tethered anymore. Okay. I should do this in a contrast thread so you can see it. Just make sure you kind of do above and below where you're working so that you can pull. I just forgot to do the one, so now I need to find it. Is this it? I kind of lost it there. Dang. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do this. They just take their seam ripper and go along that ridge there, but that makes a lot of cut thread mess. So if you want to go for more of the having individual threads removed, that's what I'm doing. So, and then this is my seam down here, which I'm taking out as well. We're kind of starting over. We're making this start over from scratch. We're gonna make it look as invisible as possible that way. Because I couldn't get that last little bit because I forgot to like do the beginning part. That got a little messy there, but so then that's one side, right? So let's continue on this side. So like I said, if you didn't do the 4-thread, you could just do the 3-thread, this one right here, right? So you're taking out that bottom stitch and then make sure you do one above and below where you're working, and I go in the middle and then I just pull, and that does those two, right? So I'm going all the way to here. I can see where I'm going because I've already taken down the middle thread, down the middle of the serging, the seam. And so now that's all that's left, and it just pulls off like that. Like that, okay? Yeah, along the ridge just cuts the threads off, and they're still sewn in there. So you still have to go in and remove them. That's why, even though it looks like it's a little more work to do it this way, like, because you have to like You don't get to angrily like take your aggression out on what just happened, right? You have to kind of pay attention a little bit and unsew it. But at least then you're left with something a little easier to deal with. Now I'm just taking off the original seam that I sewed. This is why I also like to take out a seam from this side, right? Rather than doing what I'm doing now where I'm going like this, because that just cuts a lot of little threads. I like to take it so that I have one long thread I'm taking out and it gets rid of both, and then I don't have all these little threads to deal with, right? So that's, you know, that's what I like dealing with. It's easier to make your work look nice and clean at the end too. But this is in so many, like this is like in so many different stages, right? Because I've removed the gathering thread, the seam, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, sure, Louise. Yeah, sorry it's not a contrast color. But I could do that one time. Just remind me, and I'll thread it for you guys, because that would be a nice little tutorial to do. And it's just something I experimented with to find out what my serger, what the easy thing was. And I highly recommend doing that, because you won't like dread it so much if you're like, okay, it's not going to be that bad, you know. Yeah. So I always take out that middle one first, because mine's set up as a 4 thread, like I said. This is one of the gathering stitches in here, but see, it's not all in here because I messily took it out. I didn't really take the time to take that out before. So now I'm going to try and get this gathering stitch in here in this section, even though it'll be a little tricky when I get to the end, but I can kind of hand gather a little bit. So, and some of it's still gathered. I'm just going to put in a new row so I have one row to deal with. And I'll just leave this one here. Tell me if I need to take the autofocus off if it starts doing anything crazy. Just yell at me. This is one of those things. It's like a furniture sale. My good fortune is your good. My bad fortune is, you know, I get to show you something. But all sergers are a little different, and I just recommend like checking out your serger and seeing what the easiest way to remove it is. You might even find someone did a dedicated video about your machine on how to remove the serging threads. So it's made out of glass. Can you drop it? Because I drop mine all the time. That sounds so fancy schmancy. All right, where's my new gathering stitch? This is it, right? Let's hope that all this gathers right here will be okay, because I'm not redistributing all the way around the skirt, the ruffle. It is the skirt, the ruffle to the skirt. Yeah, what does double-headed mean? What's the other head? Let's look and see. I think that'll be okay. It'll be a little more right there. The worst part is I have to serge right there. A little PTSD from that. When I stop and do stuff like that, I'm adjusting the length. Sometimes I don't, and sometimes I do. It just depends on the fabric. Sometimes I don't need to adjust the length because the fabric's lightweight enough that it gathers really nicely. And when it's too big of a stitch, it gathers too easily. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, this is kind of a pain. Oh, really, Barbara? Now that would be handy. I don't want a stiletto. I want my tapered tailor's all. Someday, that's going to be my goal, to be big enough that Clover makes, oh, Clover makes a notion after my style of sewing with this and this. That's cool. I would like that. Speaking of my all. The stiletto's a little too sharp for me though. I think that's really handy for quilters though. I know sewists who do the stiletto though, but I find it goes through the fabric a little too easily for what I use it for. And I'm like, hey, it didn't grab it. It just went right through. Because those things are sharp. Alright. I only did one row of gathering, so it's a little fussy. It does that little thing where the gathers do this, like this is where the stitch line is, and so then this is the raw edge and this is the skirt, and they kind of do this, you know, rather than laying flat, which 2 rows I feel like it lays a little flatter. Alright, let's see how it looks. You guys give me your honest opinion. Oh, that's cool, Megan. Right, nice, yeah. If you like it, I don't know. Okay, cool. Let me just serge this and I'm gonna top stitch that seam. What time is it? Okay, perfect. You can't tell. Yeah, it looked pretty good to me, actually. I actually wish the whole thing was that ruffled. I did a really messy job of this thing. I think, like, what were you saying yesterday, Ray, about, like, pre-finishing the edges? I didn't want to add bulk to this, but I actually think it would have been kind of nice if these edges were not so ravelly. Because this is so nice down here. Don't cut your serging. And make sure that you don't, when you're repairing something, make sure that you don't stop where the knife is. Make sure your needles sew past the point where you started, right? Because your knife is like a ½ inch above, in front of your needles. I've done that where I stopped too soon, you know? Yeah, exactly. And it's at the bottom, it's at the ruffle. So let's just finish this. See, I pull it down. That, and I get rid of all these threads. I kind of forgot that I always used to do that, and I don't think I did it for very long. That's why I kind of forgot that I used to do this. Like, I always secure this tail because I don't like it either. I'm glad Kelly asked today. I'm gonna do this one in a couple spots. Alright, so now I just have the waist, but it's not as big to gather. Oh, I need to top stitch this. Alright, let's top stitch this. The only problem with doing that is that you can see my camera. Gathers are great camouflage, right? And on the gingham one, I actually top stitched a lot of my seams. So that worked out good. I still have some gathering going on in here because it got a little snag. The gathering stitch got a little snagged when I was like removing it. Did a good job matching my seam right there. I hope the other one's this good. Wow. I kind of lucked out on this dress. I noticed my underarms really lined up well too. Usually I will offset them to reduce the bulk, but I didn't this time. And I'm really glad they line up nice. They look really nice. I love it when that happens. We're so focused as home sewists on making it like perfect sometimes, you know, like making the seams line up and underarms, and then you go into your wardrobe and you look at the sewing and you're like, wait, their seams don't line up. This one doesn't line up as good. And look at this. This is one of those fabric snags about to happen. So let's just pull it back in there. I don't want to clip it, you know. Oh, this is a dress, Megan. You could make a really cute top though out of this. Trauma fixed. All right. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it would add that extra thread, but at the same time, sometimes, you know, compromising for that is worth it because of the headache of dealing with all these threads. And this skirt's completely done now. We just need to attach it to the bodice. And it's still, you know, it's quite a bit together. I wonder if the ratio is about the same. I think I'll do one row just to save some time. And now I can't really, and this is almost in the middle. I don't think it's perfectly in the middle. Yeah, see, it's only about 1.5 inches different. So that'll be okay. We'll put that in the middle so that it doesn't, I don't want it to be off center. And that'll totally, so I really lucked out in where I serged that hole right in the middle. You know, if you're gonna serge a hole, don't. Just don't. All right. Yeah, so I really want to use the differential. Should I try it? I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it because even if I have to add a gathering stitch, at least like Ray says, my edge will be finished. And we'll just see what happens. We'll just use this as a learning opportunity, right? So that if it's not right, we'll see how I fix it. Why not? We're going for broke today. I'm going to start, I think, on the back. Right here. This is the side seam. Can you see what I'm pointing at? This is the side seam, so I'm going to start right behind it, actually. And I'm going to really try not to pull on it. I really want it to gather as much as possible. I'm going to lengthen the stitch a little bit. And I think that's all I'm going to do. way did I press this? Down here, that way, okay. Try not to serge my skirt. I keep seeing the throat plate right here, and I think it's one of these flowers on the other. Like I think it's one of the flowers, like of the another layer of fabric. You know, and I'm about to cut it because I'm paranoid now. I'm holding out hope it's the right ratio. I know we tested it yesterday. I'm gonna put a pin in the center spot. Wait. Oh, you are turning yours into a top. That's cool. I don't have to worry about the other one because it's a seam now. All right. And before you ask, you really can't put this through again. Just so you know. It doesn't really work. And in fact, it creates kind of a problem, so. I just want some breathing spots. Exactly. I did seriously luck out. Totally. All right, let's see. So here's my, yeah, see, that's definitely not enough. My bodice is not that big around. I can already tell. Oh, and let's stitch the bodice in a circle. So you have your placket. Because this placket is a V, you aren't as concerned with making sure it lines up. It's not going to be obvious if it doesn't. We can double check it, you know, like this, and see. It almost lines up. It's a little off though, about 1/8 and a half. See that? I think I'm gonna play it off. We had that like easing issue earlier. We're gonna overlap this just like this. And when you do something like this, when you're trying to make your bodice into a circle like this, make sure you overlap it all like up a few inches. Don't just do down here because you might end up doing this up here and you might get an angle down there and it will be something you have to deal with. So try and do it a little higher. In fact, on my gingham one, I pinned above like this to kind of stabilize it. That was kind of hard to, oh, I think I need to throw that pin away. Like that. I did 2 rows on the gingham, but I ended up having to take the other one out. It was kind of, I kind of like created a problem for myself. So I'm just going to do one this time like that. All right, so now we have our bodice. And let's see how much we need. You can hand gather it, but it takes a long time to do that. All right, so we need this. Okay, now we want this. Right side out, and this inside out. This. So I'm going to need to add a gathering stitch to this. But what's really nice about using your differential on your machine is it kind of does it very evenly. It gives you a good starting point, I guess. Maybe I'll just do 1 row. And I'm going to do my long stitch since it's going to go over some gathers. Maybe this will be a good way to do it, you know? I haven't tried this in years. I need to turn this right or inside out. All these threads. because I'm afraid I'm gonna pull it. What did I just do? Oh my gosh. There we go. No, I just did this. Yeah, I did it right. Okay. There we go. Trying not to pull on it. I don't want to lose any of the gathers I have. And I'm trying to keep these perpendicular to the sewing. I think maybe it's a good thing, actually, you know? And my edges are finished. So there's not the threads. I'm kind of liking this method. I can't remember where I landed on it. I thought I landed on it like, not the greatest. And maybe it's because like the bodice isn't serged yet. And so if the bodice isn't serged yet, I still need to serge it. So do I do it separately and have 2 layers? Or do I do it again? You know, and I could do it again and just do a narrower, like a bigger, do the seam allowance, but cut a lot off and cut the serging off. That's actually I think that's what I'll do. Thanks for letting me talk that through. All right, I'm almost at the beginning. I did 1 row and I did it all the way around instead of so many that I did on the other. We'll just gather this up a bit. And it feels good to like gather like this because nothing's unraveling before my eyes anymore. I did a nice long stitch, so I'm not worried about it breaking. That is the worst. Have you guys had that happen? Your gathering thread breaks? I don't like that. So Saturday we're going to be sewing the zip double. I am going to be sewing it. I don't know if any of you have that pattern. But I'm going to be doing the modification. That's what I'm really doing. I'm going to be doing the modification on how to make a zippered pocket. I won't probably be doing a really in-depth. Well, I will be. I mean, who am I? But it'll be focused on the zipper mod because people already have the video. They don't need to hear me do it all over again, you know, the same video. So, but if you are kind of curious, even if you don't have the zip double, on how to add a zippered pocket in a simple way, you might find that part useful at the beginning. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to sew it 2 different ways so that the pocket can be on the inside or the outside, and cut 2 out. I'm going to sew 1 for sure, and at least the zipper part of the other. We'll see. I don't know how much time we'll have, but because I have to cut it and do the pattern thing. I'm doing all of it. So I just feel like the folks that don't usually watch the stream and maybe buy the pattern, they'll be like, fine, I'll tune in. They may only be there for like 1, you know, so. All right. That looks pretty close. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So actually, I'm going to leave this. I'm going to turn this right side out. Like a dish. Hey, Megan, did you read the what is it called? Songbirds and Snakes? Did you finish reading that yet? What I do when a gathering thread breaks, besides cry a little because it's so frustrating when that happens, is I just add a row near it. I don't take it all out. It's just really awkward. Like, say I had to, like, this broke right here. I would just try and add it in, and I would overlap it by at least 1 inch with the other one, the one that broke. If it's not a very small if it's not a very very hard, you could just hand gather that spot. Like if this part's like kind of flat, you can just kind of crumple it as you go, and using like your awl or something similar like this in the machine as you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't need to pull it out though because you've already lost it. You know? Okay, this is the front. I have this new seam, so I want to make sure don't confuse it for a side seam. This is my front. This is my front. Okay. Like this. I'm going to match up that new center front seam. Which I've lost because we did it so perfect. No, I'm just kidding. It's so camouflaged. There we go. Yeah, I usually have that happen when I only put in one row, or when I used to do, like I just did, one row all the way around where I didn't break it up, you know, into sections. That's when I have that happen. It just, the strain of it becomes too much because it's almost like picture drawing your hoodie draw cord really tight, right? Picture that, but you're using this little tiny thread and it's having to bear the weight of the entire skirt all the way around. It's just too much heaviness, and that's why it tends to break, you know. Plus you're like the friction of it being pulled through the casing, because basically this is like, it's like a casing, right? You just made your own little casing, and that just kind of eventually gives out, you know. So I'm just gonna do my four corners, I was about to say, my side seams and my center fronts. Sac dish. And I think I'm gonna sew this again. I'm gonna sew it on, then I'm gonna serge it, and then I'm done. I promise I'm done. As long as I don't serge a hole in my dress. Because that's apparently likely. You're gonna finish tomorrow? How are you liking it? I didn't want to spoil anything for you. I got to listen to books a lot during the move, you know, and driving back and forth between Chico and Butte Valley. I'm almost done with Call Down the Hawk. I'll probably finish by tomorrow. Well, maybe not. Oh, now I'm only listening to it in like 20-minute increments. So I'm going to I'm going to straight stitch this on, and then I'm going to serge it again. I'm going to decide if I serge off this serging, it would make my waist seam a little bit narrow. All right, Ray, thank you for kind of making me you didn't do it intentionally, but you kind of made me go, you know what, I'm going to try my differential again. And I'm really glad I did. This was so much easier. Don't you guys agree? Like, it was probably easier to watch, too. Look at, there's no threads I'm dealing with. It's not nearly as messy. So thanks for that. Why not find out? We're already on that path today. Where's my... Autofocus? I turned it off. Did it do something weird on the screen? Oh, it is still on. You're right. I just saw it again. Thanks for telling me. That's right. I told you guys to tell me. Yeah, autofocus is... When I see streamers using that, I just want to say, turn off the autofocus. I imagine it's really useful in certain circumstances that where you're like changing the depth of whatever you're filming pretty often, but I'm not, you know. And so when I just when I just move a little bit, it does something. I'm gonna do the label after because I don't like trying to gather through it. I did it after on my gingham dress, and it's fine. I was worried it was gonna be scratchy, and it wasn't. So I'm kind of hand gathering this right here. Just only did one row. That's pretty easy since I have the differential. Is that what you guys call that? Differential? Am I using a term that makes sense to you guys? That's what I was called. We always called it a differential foot. You know, like there was or ruffler foots. Any of you have one of those? If you only put in one row, you need to make sure that one row is the like start and stop. You don't sew over where the start and stop is till the very end. So you can adjust it like this. There we go. See, my serging fell off in a couple spots, so I have to do the skirt too. So that works. Oh, that was kind of a flat spot right there. Considering I have all these gathers right here. Yeah. Do you, Terry? What do you use it for? Doing Megan's job now. Yep. She's playing with her new toys. What's going on here? Oh, it's just thick because this is my front. Okay. These gathers look way better than the ruffle on the bottom, I think. Oh, this is the center front. Okay. Any of you guys have like kids that are like able to move about in the world, like teenagers and stuff? And how are they doing during this coronavirus stuff? It's just so frustrating, you know? It really takes the wind out of someone's sails that is now newly independent human being. Yeah, I want to know what she's made out of it too. I know one of the gals that worked in the factory, like I didn't work there, what should I say? I rented a space inside of an incubator, and there was a factory in there. And so one of the gals, she used a ruffling foot, and it was super fun. I loved watching. All right. Let's look. Megan. Oh, I'm almost done. Am I okay with that stitch line there? As long as I do the whole thing like that, I'm fine with it, you know? I had this on the gingham too. It kind of did something funny there. I'm not going to pull that out yet. All right. All right. Shall we serge? Oh, that is cute. And then you can just like ruffle something until it's the right length, right? You don't have to really meter it. I know that a lot of those like industrial ones have a meter. And it's usually a ratio. Like I've had to add ruffles or gathers or whatever to something, and they say we want a whatever ratio. They'll say 1.75 or 1.5 or whatever, and I have to put it on in that. and maintain the grade for it, which is always the trickier thing, but cool math. I mean, I like it. All right, so almost done. Okay. This time, if I cut anything, it's the bodice. Let's start at the side. Nope, no differential. There. You can really feel it because it jumps forward really fast. I can feel the satiny lining here, so that's nice. As far as like making sure it's nice and flat. But you can see I'm like leaning over here. I took that pin out at the center front when I said don't do that, and I don't know why I did that. It will make it a little crooked. You gotta be careful. You know what saved me on that ruffle from that being worse is that I wasn't really trimming much off. Some of those gathers of the serging were a little bumpy. Here we go at the beginning. See how it looks. Oh, you do? Okay. Well, that's great, Terry. She works and runs every day. Yeah. That looks nice. It's my start stop. And then here is my tail. So I'm going to do that securing thing. No bodices were harmed in the serging of the skirt. Well, that's how I used to do it. I used to do it this way. I would pull the tail, and then I would pull it back again and do it again. Like that. So I would do it kind of twice. That way, when I cut close to it, I know that it is secure, and it's not going to pull out from the stitching. Because, you know, if you're cutting really close, it's just thread. Thread, right? It can pull out. All right. I wonder if I should top stitch it. Yay! I kind of want to top stitch it. Yeah, I think I will. Crisis averted. All right. I'm going to top stitch down. Oh, I'm going to do my label. I got to do that before I top stitch it. I have to admit, my gathers are pretty messy in both things. I'm sure you guys can tell that. I just kind of did a quick job there. I'm going to have to like make it look nicer later. Where's the center back? Right here. I think this is how I did it, right? Yeah. I'm going to put that raw edge above my raw edge, the raw edge of the label above. Let's do it from this side. then I pull it down like this. And by putting that little label raw edge in there, then that doesn't bug me. Because that's kind of a sensitive spot, your lower back, you know. So I did this, wait, that on my sewing machine? Yeah, this, yeah. I mean, wait, I don't know. I don't know what that's. Okay, so now I'm just going to top stitch the waist and then I'm done. And then we can try it on my dress form if you guys want to see. I kind of want to see. I wore a black bra today, so I don't know if I'll be wearing it. And I need to find buttons and buttonholes too. Wow. So much to do. Look at, I matched these underarm and the side seam so good, but the side seam of the skirt, not so much. All right. Ooh, I'm getting hungry and I got a new watermelon last night. My husband's getting so good at picking them out. Oh, right. This is the problem with doing this. I knew there was something that looked funny to me, but I was like, yeah, that's how you do that. That's how you do it if it's a neckline. I don't want to cut my serging. After the fact labels, SMH. Don't cut the serging. At least you could hide it behind the label and then secure it if you did. Right? Drink! Yeah, I'm going to try it in the dress form. Might as well, right? We're all in here. All right. This is quite the sew. I mean, this is kind of a pretty involved project. And, you know, I made it a little more involved by adding the lining and the, not the cutaway pockets so much, because you would have put that much effort into your others. I want to make sure I do that right this time. Bye, Louise. Sleep well. Maybe see you Saturday. But either way, happy sewing. Nice to see you. Buzzer ball. I don't think I'd buy anything called that. I have to be honest. Oh, I didn't catch it. Dang it. This label is so thick, but it's folded in half, but it's not quite perfectly in half because of the thickness of all the threads behind it. So, and I'm trying to stay right on the edge. I don't really need to, but you know, this is where I want it, right here. In fact, I think what I did last time is I turned it over and made the longer one like that. It's a little easier to tell. All right, last time I'm sewing this label on. Nothing better to jinx myself than saying something like that, right? All right, let's put this top stitch on. Come on. There we go. These gathers look really good. They look better than down here. Wait, that sounded really thick. Why was that thick? I did jinx myself. It pushed the label up. I cannot win right now. I didn't even know I was racing to win, you know? I'll show you what happened in a second. Let me pull this out. Did you hear the machine? When it sewed through the label, it made that noise. I was like, that sounded kind of thick. Oh, God. Never helps to rush, because then you start. That's what I need. I need it to go down. I like how close I can cut threads with these scissors. All right. I think those other buttons I got from Tabitha Sewer are gonna look good on here. There's like little gold stripes through them. I didn't plan that, but I think they might look good. So when you get to these front seams like this with a placket, this can discourage you from wanting to top stitch your waist because it is pretty thick right here. Folding the waist seam up against the placket. So just be really careful if your machine is struggling with this kind of thickness. And like I said, always make sure you make this nice and parallel right here. You're kind of solidifying it. But if it gets too thick for you, use your hand wheel. Because this is really thick. Like even for my machine right now, that is a lot. I'm definitely treading carefully right now. I don't think I top stitched my gingham one. Ooh. Really? Big sound. Ooh. Nice, Megan. You gonna sew it soon? Pixar, it didn't happen. I don't think I've sewn over a cutting mat before. Are you freaking kidding me? I just ran out of bobbin thread. 3 inches to go. You guys are stuck with me all day today. So this is basically a 6-hour project for me. That's pretty good. All right. A hump jumper? What's a hump jumper? You still have to sew through it, right? Is there something you can... I don't know what that is. I'm scared to Google the term hump jumper. For obvious reasons. There we go. All right. All right. Didn't sew it shut or something, did I? All right. Let me, I have to switch camera real quick. because the full screen will be like this. But I need to flip it around. Where is my, what is it called? Camera change. All right. I have definitely ironed a mat as well. All right. See if I can reach this camera since I moved it over there. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have some of those. I have that actually. It's this nice little tool that it's actually adjustable. I can't reach one of those cords. Just a second. What does this come up on? Oh, here we go. Oh, that's what that is. Okay. Okay, let's see. Well, that's not bad. You like that unicorn fabric is really cute, isn't it? It's shaped like an H. The one I have is like, actually might be close by. This doesn't have collapsible shoulders, so it's always a little tricky getting it on and off. Let me see if I have that. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe I found what I was looking for. This is cute. It's got that like Little House on the Prairie vibes, but I have this thing. Like you can make it different widths then. But that doesn't help how thick it is. You know what I mean? Like what I'm saying is that it's so thick that your machine might have trouble sewing through the thicknesses. Is the microphone okay? I've got it way over here. Treat you guys gently there. Sorry. There you go. My pockets. Yeah, so that wouldn't help like how thick things are. It's a little overexposed, sorry. It's cute. Ouch. Yeah. I'm into it. Yeah, if that was from, that is from my Bernina. Oh, really? Really, Barbara? Mine never stalls. That's cool. So it's kind of like a warning. So sorry, it's so bright. Color's a little off too. I love it. It's cute. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, this little thing, I thought it was for the side, but that's cool. I've saved it because I thought it was pretty neat. I like that it's variable, you know? It's not very sophisticated, but it's simple and works. I am a hot mess today. I'm not a hot mess. I just had some bad luck. I feel like it came out really good though. But it's really cute. I'm into it. And so this is where the seam is. Can you see the seam right there? Never happened. So, yeah. Well, thanks for bearing with that whole journey. That was quite the series of unfortunate events. But it turned out fine. You know, that happens, right? It happens. I'm going to try this on after the stream. And maybe I'll see if I can take a photograph today. Maybe I'll try to wear it on a Saturday. But, yeah. Yeah, I'm liking it, Daphne. What I have isn't the same thing. Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is for when you are, like, say what you're sewing, you're putting through your machine is really, really, really thick, right? And your machine's coming down like this. You put this like this so the other half of the presser foot has something to sit on. I don't, Megan. You don't need to pre-wash it. I never do. Not with bags. And you can wash that whole bag, just so you know. It's all washable. Just don't put it in the dryer. So, yeah, let's see what the... Looks pretty good. I'm not sewing that. Yay. This is the Amelia. My Amelia, look at how old it is though. Like it's very broken in. The Amelia is on the Bodice, and I make this a lot. And this is a good example of how I've said, make sure you pre-wash your binding before you attach it to a hem. Don't be too spontaneous. Because can you see the wrinkles in my dress? Because the binding shrink, it looks beautiful, but on the outside, it's all wrinkly. That's why. Yeah, okay. Okay, Ray. It sounds the same, but this is really just like an evener so that your machine isn't, like the presser foot isn't half on and half off what you're sewing. That's how I understand it, but I've never used it. And my machine was geared towards quilting, so I think that's why. So, yeah. Yeah, anyway. Well, cool. That was fun. I'm really glad I finally have this dress. And I can't wait to wear it. It looks like something... Who was going for the little house in the prairie vibes? Oh, that was this old friend of mine. Yeah, I'll have to tell her about this dress. There's my boo-boo area. What boo-boo? What about purchase? Hi, Elizabeth. I would pre-wash that. If you're planning on using it on something that's gonna get washed, I would pre-wash it. Yeah, so, and the reason mine's like this is because I think I'm being so clever, right? I'm like sewing along and I'm like, oh, it's time for the hem. And then I'm like, what if I do a contrast hem? And then I'm like, what binding do I have? And I have a lot of bindings. And at the time I had a lot of bindings. And so I would be like, okay, great. I'm going to shop my bindings. And then I sew it on and then I wash it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why you don't do that. So I pre-wash it and it won't fray because it's on the bias. So it's fine to throw in the washing machine. If you have a piece that's really huge, you might want to put it in like a little mesh bag so it doesn't get knotted up with things or wrap around things. I put it in a mesh bag every time I pre-wash it. My jog bras came with a really nice mesh bag, and I put little things in there like that. So if you can think ahead and do it, it's great. If not, this is what you end up with. I don't know if I have shorts on, so I'll lift my dress up, but can you see those little, and see, because it's broken in, I'm getting like these little distress lines. It's fine. This is like an everyday dress for me. Like I would garden in this or or go to a party. It's like one of those things. It's like cotton, and because of the print being on the bias, the fabric being on the bias, the birds are now going like this, whereas they look more like this. The skirt's not on the bias, so they're at a diagonal. This is one of those weird fabrics that when I did it, I was like, oh, I didn't think of that, but it doesn't matter. I love this dress. It's one of my favorites to wear. The Amelia is just great. It just doesn't come in a lot of sizes, but the bias really makes it forgiving. And I can use quilting cotton, and I get a dress out of quilting cotton because there's so many cute ones of those, you know. And it's funny because look at this. This was a fabric in our line. That's a zip double. That's one we sold. So when we got this fabric, I was like, oh yeah, I'm saving 3 yards for me. So it's versatile. This is a cotton and steel print. It came in a bunch of colors later on. That's awesome, Terry. Yeah, I know you don't want to wash it, but you don't have to. It just shrinks differently, and the reason it does that is because, you know, the bias is shrinking like this. Whereas your dress, if you pre-washed the fabric, it's not. So if you don't pre-wash either, you might get a better result. So, yeah. Yeah, me too, Daphne. I can't wait to try it on. So, well, that was epic. I'm really happy I got this. I'd make you sit through my button selection, but let's be honest here. You've really put up with a lot today. So I'll let you go. Maybe you'll see me wearing it on Saturday with buttons and buttonholes. I might work at home tomorrow. I'm going to try and gear up for that. So I don't want to leave my house now. It's so nice. So, all right, you guys, I'll see you Saturday if you want to stop by. I'll be sewing this right here, the zip double with the zippered pocket on the front there. I can show you one. Ooh, it's far away. Never mind. So the pocket on that bag, it sits on inside of the bag, so you can see what's in it from the outside because the vinyl's in front of the pocket. And I'm going to show folks how to make it so that the zipper is on the outside so you can reach in from the outside of your bag to get in there. It'll be fun. So and that's going to be like a free mod, but you have to buy the pattern, obviously. So if you want to do it, but if you already have it, which a lot of people have, I think it'll be a really great mod. So all right, you guys, I'll see you Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific, and thanks for coming. I had a good time. I can't even talk anymore. I need to eat lunch. Bye.